It's a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Florida.
Sweet home Chicago. Looking down at Wrigley Field. Marlins and Cubs. This a three-game series. Cubs a shutout win last night and another sellout expected here at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Now that is a pizza. Marlins and Cubs. Hi everybody, Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. Marlins coming here, fighting in the wild card. The Cubs have the best record in baseball. And last night, the Marlins ran into Kyle Hendricks. It's a Cubs pitching staff, including Hendricks, I think is overlooked this year.
Well, they say momentum is the next day starter. The Cubs have had a lot of momentum all year long because their starters have done a great job giving them innings and keeping them in almost every ball game.
Yeah, the next day starter and then the next day starter. Obviously, there's great players here in Chicago, great young players, but when you look at this rotation and what they've done this year, the starting pitchers are 51 and 28 and the ERA right around 3.
ERA, they're keeping you off the board. Opponents average, they're not letting you get on base. So when you have that type of dynamic as an offense coming in to face this team, you have to take every opportunity you can. You got to run the bases well. You got to be smart. You have to be opportunistic.
And the next day starter is this guy, Jason Hammel. And you look at him, 6 innings, 3 strikeouts. Marlins beat him, but he's been really good, especially in this ballpark.
He's only given up 4 hits, and he's a guy that's got a good slider, and when he needs it, he's going to go to it. He's starting to throw more two-seamers now, but when it comes down to it, that slider is going to be the go-to pitch.
In this ballpark, Jose Fernandez has never pitched. He faced the Cubs and beat them earlier this year, punched out 13, but he's never been on the mound here at Wrigley Field.
Well, he's going to have to absorb this environment, take it all in, and then get over it and try to be that Jose that we see at home more often. First pitch strikes, getting ahead early with that fastball and saving some of those out pitches for the second time through the lineup or when he gets in trouble at men in scoring position.
It was Fernandez and Hammel in late June that met in Miami. Jose Day in the friendly confines. And emails and tweets, kids. Marlins and Cubs coming up. Miami Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, by Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide, and by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Jason Hammel on his way out for career start 239. This guy's had a nice long career. Miami will come to the plate in this orderly fashion. It's brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
JT Real Muto's at the top. Martin Prado's second. Yelich is third. Stanton is in a cleanup spot. Ozuna is fifth. Dietrich sixth. Chris Johnson is batting seventh. Adeiny Echeverria is eighth. And Jose Fernandez is batting in the ninth spot.
Jason Hammel this year, the ERA in the low threes. In this ballpark, very good. Last four starts, really good. A 2.35 ERA in those four starts, and a 3-0 record. His second crack at the fish. Real Muto takes a fastball for a strike, and this game is underway. JT in the leadoff spot. No D. Gordon in there tonight. Real Muto has done a terrific job in that spot. Gordon getting his first night off since coming back. And a nice seat. Just a simple fastball at 93, although it may sound simple, not easy to hit. It's 1-2.
I think people have lost the idea of how fast 93 really is. We see so many guys throwing 95, 97. 93 still has great pace on it.
Hammel just raring back and throwing fastballs right now. And the count is 1-2. This is a guy that got to the big leagues with the Rays. Pitched for the Rockies, the Orioles, Oakland. That ran in, no swing. That's Marty Foster at first. Mike Malinsky is the home plate umpire. Foster at first, Mike Winters at second, Mark Wegner at third.
Seen very well right there by Real Muto. Usually he tries to throw that pitch to set up the slider. Oh no, fastball up.
That was one pitch, the entire at bat, and that 93-mile-an-hour fastball is what Hammel featured. Now the Cubs have a variety of guys in a variety of places. Southwest Airlines brings it to you. Chris Coughlin's in left. Dexter Fowler center. Jason Hayward right. Javier Baez goes over to third. Anthony Rizzo on the other corner. Ben Zobrist had a night off last night. Addison Russell drove in 2 last night. And Wilson Contreras is behind the plate. Joe Madden loves versatility. Cubs are certainly versatile.
I think the players should love the versatility because it puts them in a situation where if they can play a different position, they don't have to sit down that night. They're not just locked into one spot out there on defense.
Chris Bryant getting the night off for the Cubs. Martin Prado had a hit last night. And I'll tell you what, Hammel, there's no, I mean, you can scout him however way you want him. He's just throwing fastballs.
Well, that's a great job by a pitcher, not showing your other pitches when you don't have to. You're not in any danger. There's no traffic on the bases. He knows the Marlins hit a lot of singles. So stay with your fastball. Save that slider till you have to show it. I like it.
Another fastball at 94, and it's out.
I believe that's the philosophy that they were trying to instill in Jose Fernandez at the beginning of the year. Don't show your other pitches when you don't have to. You throw 97 miles an hour. All you have to do is switch velocity. Switch location. Keep the fastball going. Just switch locations.
I love that speed range, and Prado sends it back up faster than it came in. So 10 straight fastballs, and the 10th is into center field. Auto Nation brings you the scouting report.
Well, what you're going to see from Jason Hammel is fastballs and sliders. Sliders the out pitch. That's when he goes to a mid-end scoring position. One more win will be a career high for him with 11. He's reached 10 wins 5 times. Can't eat just ones. Prescribe potato chips for cramps. Well, I like that. I like if you're going to get cramps, don't go for the banana. Just go for the potato chips.
Salty ones.
Yeah.
Really salty ones. Not those jalapeno or onion ones.
Nah.
Here's Yelich. He cracks one in the gap left center. Over is Coghlan. And the former Marlin makes the catch in left field. So here comes Stanton, and we'll see if the fastball fest continues for Hammel here in the first inning. Stanton 0 for 3 last night. Masterpiece by Kyle Hendricks. 7-hit shutout. Third time the Marlins were shut out in a complete game effort.
Yeah, it really looked like Hendricks had Stanton guessing all night, and really every time he guessed it like he was guessing wrong.
Stanton doesn't guess wrong there. Drills it into left field for a hit.
And that's the first one. That's not a fastball. 87 miles an hour, a little breaking ball, slider. And it just hangs right there in the middle of the plate. Stanton does a good job. So you see where the target is, and that ball hangs right there, and he drills it. I like when he has that little toe tap, and I also like when he has two hands on the bat longer. To me, his swing is more crisp, and his rhythm is better when he keeps two hands on the bat.
Marcell Ozuna now. Prado at second, Stanton at first. Derek Dietrich's on deck. Hammel goes breaking ball to Ozuna, and it's 1-0.
Well, now you see how it changes. Now that there's a man in scoring position, now that slider's going to come more into place. Stanton's a different animal. You can't go by Stanton, but Marcell Ozuna, he probably would have pitched him the same way as he pitched Yelich and the other guys. But when you got a man in scoring position, now you got to start trying to be nasty and get those outs.
There's a variety of Marlins that have seen Hammel and had success. Ozuna 3 for 9, and he takes out, and it's 2-0. The best of the bunch is Stanton. 8 for 19 now. One of those 8 a home run. Martin Prado 8 for 23 against him as well. Let's see if he gets a 2-0 fastball. Nope. And a great take by Ozuna, who looked like he was locked and loaded for something straight.
So impressed by Ozuna's patience this year. He's learned so much. He's just really trusting what he sees. He's not panicking. And usually those swings where you swing poorly at a ball, and when it counts in your favor, it's a panic swing.
There's the fastball. Now it's 3-1. He threw the slider on 2-0, which is a good illustration that 3-1 is not necessarily a fastball count.
Well, you still look for the fastball away, because if it's a really good slider, you're not going to hit it anyway. So you look for the fastball away and hope that if it is a slider, it's a bad slider. That's the idea right here as a hitter. Because Hammel doesn't like coming in, and if he does come in, he's not usually coming in more than once. So you stay out there on the other side of the plate and try to drill him right back up the middle.
Wilson Contreras on his way out to the mound to chat about this 3-1 pitch. Just underway. You can see the sunset turning the faces of both Hammel and Contreras kind of an orange tinge as it peeks through the lower level and the upper deck. It's up. It was a bad slider, but it was a high slider.
Right. And why I say you look out there is because when he throws you a 2-0 slider, if he's willing to throw it to you 2-0, he's going to be willing to throw it to you 3-1. So that way you make sure you protect yourself. You're staying on the fastball because you're a fastball hitter. See what Contreras has set up, and then look where it hangs up and in.
So here's Derek Dietrich. In Dietrich's last 2 ball games, he's had some big hits. He had a double yesterday that he thought he could get a triple on. He was thrown out at third, and of course that pinch hit walk-off triple on Sunday goes after the first pitch and floats it foul. And that triple on Sunday snapped an 0 for 23 for Dietrich in a spot where early in that stretch. He hit some balls hard, but then really started to struggle and admitted that he was anxious and said that the thing he has to do is just relax. But you see it with the bases loaded. He's not had much success in the big leagues. He fouls that one back to the screen, and Hamels out in front, 0-2.
I struggled early in my career with the bases loaded just because you want to get the job done. It took me a little bit longer to learn to relax in those spots and put the pressure on the pitcher. Not that I need to get a hit, but, oh, he's in trouble right now. And when you think about it like that, then you start to relax more and you start picking your pitches better and you're more selective. You have to put the pressure on the pitcher, not yourself.
It's a tough spot to relax here. 0-2. Bags loaded, 2 outs. Contreras way outside. And Hamel goes out even further. So it's 1-2. Dietrich getting the start at second with D. Gordon getting tonight off.
This is one of those at-bats where you look at that chart and you go, man, I got 2 good pitches to hit. Right in the middle of the strike zone, and they're up, and I fouled both of them off.
Very good take. The slider dives low, and it's 2-2. 21 pitches so far for Jason Hamel. Derek Dietrich, who showed really good plate discipline his first 2.5 months as a regular second baseman. 2-2. Busted bat, slowly hit. Rizzo has it. Hamel's there, and he gets there in time to get Dietrich. And the Marlins leave them loaded. Jose gets the ball next. Marlins and Cubs underway. Bottom of the first. And here come the Cubs. It's brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
All right, here go the Cubbies. Dexter Fowler is leading off. Wilson Contreras batting second. Rizzo third. Zobrist is in the cleanup spot. Jason Hayward fifth. Russell sixth. Chris Coghlan, the old Marlin, is batting seventh. Javier Baez is batting eighth. And Jason Hamel is in the ninth hole.
And Jose Fernandez, for the very first time on the mound at Wrigley Field. Opens his night with a crisp fastball at 94 miles an hour. 12-5, a 2.79 ERA. Cuffed around his last time out. And Dexter Fowler laces one into the corner. Stanton after it. Fowler around second. On his way to third, and he's there with a triple.
Yeah, this ballpark, some ballparks, the triples are in the gaps. Marlins Park, in this ballpark, it's the corners because the corners bow out. They kind of go out a little deeper from the gap. So when you get that ball going in the corner, that outfielder doesn't get to it, you know it's 2 for sure. And when you can run like Dexter Fowler and you see that ball clear the grass and go towards that corner, it's 3, and it's an easy 3 for him.
Yeah, 353 feet down the line.
Yeah, most places are 330, 335. That extra 20 feet makes a big difference.
Fernandez misses outside. Now, Jose's last start, 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, and they were early runs by the Cardinals. He gave up homers to Aledmys Diaz and Matt Holliday in a messy second inning. Right now, the Cubs are off to a 1-0 start here on an infield hit by Wilson Contreras as Fowler scores. Miami defensively tonight. Southwest Airlines diagrams Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton in the outfield. Prado, Echeverria, Dietrich, Chris Johnson in the infield. JT Realmuto behind the plate. And the Cubs haven't wasted any time. A triple by Fowler, an infield single by Contreras, and here's Anthony Rizzo. You've got Ben Zobrist and Jason Hayward all lined up. Strike 1 to Rizzo, who had an Anthony Rizzo kind of night last night. 3 for 3, single, double, triple, hit by a pitch, and walked. It's kind of a unique night. As Don Mattingly watches. Rizzo takes out. The last player, by the way, to do that in a single game, single, double, triple, walk, hit by a pitch, was back in 2012, and he's on deck, Ben Zobrist, as a Ray against Seattle.
Now, has there ever been someone who got hit by a pitch, walk, and then also hit for the cycle, single, double, triple, home run? That would have to be like the super cycle.
Yes. The Evel Knievel. Google it, kids.
They're like, who's that?
Rizzo.
It's a Pokemon character.
Sitting on a 3-1 pitch. And Anthony Rizzo with a mean cut there. MVP type numbers for Rizzo. 30 doubles now, 24 homers. And he's part of a team that has dominated in on-base percentage. 346 as a team. That is strike 3 called. Fernandez gets the strikeout. Rizzo caught looking. And up comes Zobrist.
This is just some heat right here, and it's in a great spot, just above the knees. May have gotten a little call just off the plate, but didn't miss by much. I can see why the umpire called that a strike.
Now Zobrist. And of course, Zobrist, a guy that always has a healthy on-base percentage. But he can do damage as well.
If they were an all-throwback baseball team, Zobrist is going to be on it. He just looks like a throwback baseball player to me.
387 on base, 452 slug. And Zobrist takes in. The average on base percentage for a team in the National League this year is 321. The Cubs are 346. And the next highest, the Giants at 333. And the Cubs are way over 400 walks, 444. Up the middle, Echeverria. Dietrich's turn is in time. And Jose gets a double play, but the Cubs get a run. is the presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. On another wonderful night at Wrigley Field. Not so wonderful last night for the Fish. The weather was great, but the Marlins were shut out 5-0. And in the first inning here against Jason Hammel, Marlins got the bags loaded, but Hammel escaped. Chris Johnson, Danny Echeverria, and then Jose Fernandez. Emails and tweets, let's get into them. Alex has the first one. Alex, a longtime viewer, season ticket holder, happy with the progress the Fish have made this year. Likes the Cashner trade. Wants to know about Wei-Yin Chen. When will he be back? Johnson, a little tapper to third. Baez crossed the diamond, and when he comes back, could the Marlins use him as a lefty specialist out of the pen? And that's with the understanding that David Phelps is going into the rotation on Friday at Coors Field. If you missed Marlins Live, Preston, what do you think?
Anytime you see a guy throwing a bullpen, I think that's one of those things where, yeah, he's looking to go in that rotation, trying to stretch him out a little bit.
What about Wei-Yin Chen? I know the Marlins would like a lefty specialist, but I think his value in the rotation is a lot higher than that.
I do. I think ideally you'd like to have him in the rotation. Wei-Yin Chen just had, I think he battled command controls more than anything early in the year. Just missing spots, giving up some two-strike hits maybe when he shouldn't have. But if he can work it out, to me it's just where you're better. That's the key. If he's better in the bullpen, put him there.
Echeverria with a long fly ball out. Well, the telltale sign, as Preston said, long toss, bullpen session. And Don Mattingly indicating that Friday in Denver, it should be a David Phelps start for the Fish.
Oh, we've seen Phelps do it before. The good thing is his last few outings, he has thrown quite a few pitches, so with that kind of bridges that gap to get him to that starting role. I don't know if they have a magic number in mind as far as a pitch count for him.
Jeff Nelson on Marlins Live felt it would be 85 pitches.
Okay.
Right in that neighborhood. Two pretty good hitting pitchers in this game, Hammel and Jose. Little tapper, third base side. And Baez gets the out at first. 1-2-3 for Hammel. Jose back on the mound after a 7-pitch inning.
where it is another road edition of a Twitter and email Tuesday driven by Ford. Jose Fernandez on the mound tonight for the Fish, so tonight's special hashtag is Jose Day. What do you love about watching Jose pitch? How many strikeouts do you think he'll have by the end of the season? Tell us what you think. Send those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Your emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com, and don't forget to use that special hashtag Jose Day. Guys.
All right, Jess, thank you. Everything driven by Ford. Jason Hayward. Fastball misses up. GMC big matchup. Cubs haven't seen much of Jose, but of course Hayward as a Cardinal and a Brave has. Sends that one out to center field. Marcelo Zuna's there and makes the catch. All right, we've got tweets. We have emails. Preston, you've got a tweet. Go for it.
Yeah, we asked a question earlier if there was a guy who hit for the cycle, walked, and got hit by a pitch. Got a tweet from Chad Diffenderfer that says, Harry Kraft is the only player to ever accomplish that feat. Harry Kraft.
Well, there you go.
To ask and you shall receive. Question answered.
Addison Russell. First pitch swinging to right, shallow. Stanton knocks it down and then picks it up. Chris Coughlin now. Zach wants to know whatever happened to Carl Pavano.
Pavy's on vacation. Pavy's been on vacation for like 3 months now.
He is. Summer vacation with his family. We'll see him back on Marlins Live soon. Jeff Nelson's been a really nice addition to the shows. Coughlin started the season in Oakland. Guy that Joe Madden really likes. Finds himself in left field. Was on the disabled list with a rib cage strain. Was down in rehabbing in Double-A. Really struggled with Oakland, but glad to be back with the Cubs. He had a solid year last year. Strike. Coughlin shakes his head. He didn't like the call. That changes the count, certainly. Instead of 3-0, it's 2-1, and Coughlin had every reason to beef.
Yeah.
Russell at first. And that one misses.
As a hitter, when you see an umpire is generous on that, that's something that you have to be aware of. If he's generous on one side of the plate, then you can't just keep getting called out on strikes if he's going to continue to do it.
Coughlin to left, sends Yelich back, and Yelich makes the catch. So there's 2 outs. If you place a deposit on a 2017 season ticket, you'll guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game in Miami. Don't miss your chance to secure seats for a once-in-a-generation event. All the All-Star Week activities, Home Run Derby, the game, and all of that. Deposits start just $250, 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com. Javi Baez. You have to be versatile in the field and where you hit in the order for Joe Madden. Baez was a cleanup hitter in last night's ball game, and he finds himself hitting 8th in this lineup.
From what I've seen from Baez, if I were Jose, I'd try to keep the fastball tight on him and go more breaking balls away. I mean, I guess when you throw 98, you can throw it wherever you want, but we've seen him have that bat wrap where he points the head of that bat at the pitcher a little bit before he fires, and that's a long way to go when you're trying to catch up to an upper 90 miles an hour fastball.
Center field, Ozuna in, and he makes the catch. That one was barreled up. Scoreless inning for Jose in the second. 1-0 Cubs. One 1-0 Cubs on top. I was on that river today, Preston Wilson. This copyrighted telecast presented by the Authority. The Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts, descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. As usual, Wrigleyville is buzzing. Cubs and Marlins, 1-0. Cubs on top. Jason Hammel, JT Realmuto. Round 2 for the Marlins order. Their second time through with Prado and Yelich also slated for the third. More from the email bag. Fernandina. Last night, when the ball went over Stanton's head and into the ivy, was the ball removed before the next pitch? Russell to first. Well, there's two things to think about. Oftentimes when a ball is hit, like that ground ball to short skips across the infield, but the ball's returned to the pitcher, Hammel. Unless something really out of the ordinary happens and an umpire feels, or even if a hitter requests it, the ball will stay in play. And I thought I saw when Stanton went to the ivy, Andre Dawson's head pop out. Just briefly. One of the great commercials.
Yeah, that was a great commercial.
Was that an insurance commercial? State Farm, right?
That was a great commercial.
They were pulling all kinds of stuff out of the ivy, and out came Hawk.
I think my left wrist might be in there still, because I know when I hit that thing years ago, it took a few years off my life. Oh, and someone sent me a tweet to ask me if there's padding out there in that outfield. And I have to say, I think Smoothie King Miami asked if it was padding out there. No, there's no padding out there. There's only brick out there. And I found that out the hard way. My body imprint was in there for about 5 months after I ran into that wall.
Ouch. Prado single back in the first. Miami had the bags loaded with 2 outs. And Hammel got Derek Dietrich on a broken bat grounder to second. Prado strikes out. Sean from Lubbock, Texas. how worried should he be, Sean that is, about Justin Bour at this point? Honestly expected the team to add a bat yesterday. Any chance to do so this month? And any thoughts on who that could be? Indications are Justin Bour is going to play, I believe, tonight and on Wednesday, and the Marlins will see him in Denver. At least that's the plan. So I don't think you should be worried yet. And as far as adding something this month, there are impactful trades made in August every season. Teams have to just be a little bit creative. Oftentimes it involves a bad contract or a player that slips through waivers. But I think you'll see Justin Bour Friday night against the Rockies. Let's go back to last year. Yelich in this ballpark. He hasn't played a lot of games here, but man, he loves it here. That was a 4th of July series. Yelich, all told, 10 games here, and he's hit safely in all 10 at a 386 clip. That was before lining out in the first inning. Hit it hard in that first inning. 2 doubles, 3 homers, 5 RBIs in 10 games. See what I mean?
Yeah, there's some ballparks that you just feel good and you see the ball well. Just always feels like you got something good going. I felt like that here too. I felt like at least during the series I was going to hit one ball out of the ballpark. And Christian Yelich, he loves it here. He's locked in. Such a good swing.
Now Hamill started Stanton out with a slider, and he hit a bullet single to left on the very first pitch of the at bat. And we told you earlier, Stanton has very good numbers against this 33-year-old veteran right-hander. All told now, Stanton is 8 for 19 with a home run.
Well, Stanton has done a little bit something different with his setup. He's carrying his hands a little bit lower now. Remember, he used to have the bat kind of hands right at the top of the shoulder. Bat laying right across the top of his shoulder. Now look where he's resting his hands right now. Notice this last night. So they're down there right around the M. That's something totally new and different. See that? Right around there. They used to be up a little higher, bat up a little flatter.
Hamill trying to keep Yelich close.
Look, baseball's a game of adjustments. If you feel like you need to move your hands maybe an inch or so here or there, it's just an adjustment that you make.
High fly ball. Hayward in. And he makes the catch. And the Marlins are done in the third. A 1-0 Cubs lead. Greater coverage of baseball with T-Mobile. Let's start with Max Kepler, the German-born, German-bred. This is a guy that grew up in Germany. He's not a U.S. player that was born in Germany in the military or anything. 3 homers. First twin to have 3 homers as a rookie in a game. We saw Max Kepler earlier this year. Fernandez throws a strike to Hamill. Quickly, it's 0-2. 2 good hitting pitchers. Neftali wants to know, why didn't they let pitchers into the home run derby?
I'll tell you why. Because if a pitcher gets hurt in a home run derby, with the number of swings that they take, whoever sent him there and okayed that would lose their job right away. You're talking about guys like Mad Bum, guys that have this power as pitchers. These guys are good pitchers. So if you send them there and they taking swings and they get injured, somebody's got to go home.
I would say this, though. I would love to see, like, not a full-blown home run derby, but like 1 round of BP. Get the 5, 6 best hitting pitchers in the National League and let them go for just 1 round. You know, before the home run derby, okay? And get it out of their system.
just let them get it over with.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'd rather watch that than a celebrity softball game.
Rich, they will invite you next year, I promise.
Even though Eduardo Perez did a bang-up job on that, I would rather see Madison Bumgarner and Jose Fernandez try to launch home runs. Not long. Give them 10 swings. Counts 1-2. Fowler triple back in the first. And he scored on the Contreras infield hit. Dexter Fowler, my goodness. Talk about a guy who is having a career year right now and enjoying life as a Cub. And up comes Wilson Contreras. Scruffy has this question for us. Scruffy, a loyal follower of Marlins baseball. I noticed the players get a day off every 2 weeks or so. Is there any player in either league that's chasing Cal Ripken Jr.'s record? Well, they may be chasing, but they're a long ways away.
Yeah.
The active leader right now is Jose Altuve, 196 consecutive.
He's one of my favorite players. He really is. I said it before, and it's amazing that, and I'm not going to say the LeBron James because I caught a lot of flack when I said that because everyone said Mike Trout, but one of the guys who could possibly be considered the LeBron James of baseball is 5'6" tall. I mean, he plays defense, he scores, runs, he steals bases, he gets hits, he hits for average. What doesn't he do?
He may not be 5'6".
Yeah, well, you know.
Runner goes, and a swing or a foul tip. I think it was just a swing. Ball was in the dirt, and Real Muto tried to backhand it, and he never came up with it. Yeah, he wasn't close to that, and JT never held it. So Fowler with a stolen base, his 8th of the season. In scoring position with 1 out. Into left. Yelich has it. Fowler stops. And the throw is cut. And the Cubs are in business now for an Anthony Rizzo at bat.
Oh, Wilson Contreras has opened some eyes. This is a breaking ball that's down, and he just goes down and rakes it out into left field. Yelich attacks it hard, keeps Fowler there at third base.
So here's Rizzo. Called out on strikes in the first. In the air, shallow left. Yelich comes on and has it. In a quick lob to first. Runner comes home and safe. Realmuto drops the ball. And the Marlins give up a run when they try to get a double play at first. My goodness.
Well, the issue right here is there's a man on third and you can't lob the ball. Yelich sees that the base runner is so far off that he lobs the ball. And you have to put something on it. It's going to be interesting to see if Fowler actually tagged up at third, too. I'm not sure if Fowler tagged up at third on that ball. I'm not sure if Fowler went back to the bag and tagged up.
And that's what the Marlins are looking at right now. All right, we've got to look at it. So there's Fowler.
Okay, so he's on the bag. Yes,
he's on the bag.
He's good. But right here with Yelich, you have to put something on this ball. See that lob right there? That's the mistake in this play. You have to throw it with something on it because you got a speedy runner on third and you cannot lose sight of that.
I don't think the Marlins have any recourse here in any challenge. The ball popped out of Realmuto's glove on the tag. The runner from first never crossed second. And the Cubs are going to get a run out of this. Boy, the Marlins had a great opportunity to get out of that inning, and instead they give a run to the Cubs. And you can see the anger in Don Mattingly's face right now. He is steaming.
Well, and he has a right to be. That's a run that should not be given up. That's a lesson learned by Christian Yelich, that you cannot lob that ball in where there's a man on third base. You got to put something on it because there's more than one base runner.
So it's 2-0. Cubs on top. Now, still shaking his head a bit. 2-0. Cubs on top. Marcell Ozuna is up, and Ozuna takes a strike. The scoring on that play is a bit odd, and probably will be adjusted.
Yeah, that's going to be looked at. They said it was an RBI on that play. That's an error on the throw.
Yeah, it's being ruled as a sacrifice fly. Ozuna fouls it back to the screen. But obviously, if Yelich makes an accurate throw at first base, the inning's over. And if he doesn't overthrow the bag, Fowler doesn't score.
Yeah, I understand Rizzo is one of the top leaders in RBIs, and he's at home, but that you can't call that an RBI. I'm sorry.
Ozuna takes outside, regardless of who gets what.
Right.
For the Marlins, they'd obviously love to have it back. Ozuna, Dietrich Johnson against Hamill in the 4th. Yeah, they've changed that. They've now taken the RBI back away from Anthony Rizzo.
And that's the correct call.
And they were saying that Fowler scored on a fielder's choice. Ozuna strokes a ground ball up the middle. It's Addison Russell. And he throws out Marcell Ozuna. Monday night, the Marlins are back home, and the Giants are in at 7:10. You got the all-you-can-eat seats on that Monday for $25. And, of course, all military personnel, first responders, and veterans with a valid ID can receive complimentary tickets on South Florida Heroes Monday. Go to Marlins.com for more. So the Marlins still looking to score a run in this series. And with a defensive lapse, Chicago's doubled their lead. Dietrich bounced to second. Hamill getting a lot of outs on the ground. And he's 2-0 to Dietrich. 21 straight scoreless innings as well for the Cubs staff, and that goes back to the ballgame in which they trailed Seattle 6-0, came roaring back. Home plate umpire Mike Malinsky went out to inspect the baseball. So 21 straight innings in which the Cubs have not given up a run. Of course, the Marlins have gone almost 13 innings in this series without a run as well. Last run the Marlins scored was on that Dietrich pinch hit walk-off triple against the Cardinals. Dietrich walks, Johnson comes up. Preston, this is a question I had not pondered, but it makes a lot of sense. It's from Ron in Plantation. Cubs fans, especially out in the bleachers, have a tradition of throwing back an opponent's home run ball. What happens if Ichiro hits a home run here for his 3,000th hit? Would a Cubs fan throw it back?
Well, no, they're not going to throw it back. And I want to fill everybody in on a little bit. Those balls that they throw back aren't usually the ball that's actually hit out there. There are a lot of baseballs that are hit for home runs during batting practice, and the fans collect them. And what they do is when there's a ball hit by a visiting player for a home run, they actually pull together, get one of those batting practice balls, and throw it back out, and they actually keep the real souvenir. Mythbusters, baseball style.
Up the middle, Zobrist, Russell, and the Cubs turn a double play, and Miami comes up empty in the 4th. Jason Hamill with a 2-0 lead. How about some day baseball at Wrigley Field, a baseball tradition. And tomorrow we've got it for you. 1:30 start. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson get you ready. South Florida Honda dealers present matinee baseball from Wrigley. Tom Kohler, John Lester, Miami and Chicago. Here tonight, it's 2-0 Cubs. 5 hits for the Cubs. Marlins without a run and just 3 hits. Jose Fernandez, who gave up a run in the first and an odd run in the third. Marlins ended up getting a double play on that play. The Rizzo fly ball out to left in a roundabout way because Contreras at the end of the play tried to go to second and he was thrown out. So Zobrist, Hayward, Russell, 4th inning here for the Cubs. Zobrist takes a strike. Merrill has this. It's not really a Jose Day email. You guys do a wonderful job with the fantasy auction for the Marlins Foundation. There's an upcoming event that doesn't get enough airtime. There's a roller on to Dietrich. Hold that thought, Merrill. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey guys, a little bit of a unique batting practice earlier today for the Cubs. Towards the end of BP, when the cages were taken away, a couple of the players came back out and took some swings at the plate while a very small camera was filming them. Now, this isn't something that they necessarily do often, but it does provide the players with film to go back with the hitting coaches and analyze their swings just in case they need to make any mechanical adjustments. They can watch it frame by frame. Guys, just another way that the game is evolving with technology.
Oh, that guy was one of the pioneers, Joe Madden, when he was on the Angels coaching staff. Kind of the first guy that really traveled with the computer for defensive spreadsheets and positioning. Now it's all so easy. Now major league teams have tablets and iPads in the dugouts.
And he used to have binders and binders full of sheets and information that he had to carry with it. I'm sure the clubhouse guys hated lugging all that stuff around now. All that stuff is condensed into a tablet that he can just do that. So technology is wonderful.
He's got a little binder there as well. All right, Merrill, we'll get back to your email. On August 19th, Merrill writes, the Marlins' wives have their back-to-school drive, and Merrill brings a couple of bags of supplies every year. And disappointed to see how little has been collected. If you could promote the event every day until the 14th, maybe we'll get a better turnout this year.
Well, there you go.
Busted bat. I think the idea is we got to keep promoting it. So Merrill will do the best that we can. Another event for the Marlins Foundation is coming up on August 10th. It's Fish and Chips, and Jess has more on it. Jess?
Earlier today, he said that event is coming up on August 10th. It's going to be really cool. They're going to have a silent auction. They're going to take all of the money that they raise and they're going to donate it to the RBI program. That's a program that's aimed at bringing baseball back to the inner city. So if you want to make a donation, if you want to buy tickets, all you have to do is go to marlins.com and it's got all the information there that you need. But again, Fish and Chips coming up on August 10th. That is going to be at Marlins Park. It's going to be an awesome event.
Thank you, Jess. Jose Fernandez throws a strike. It's 1-1. Jose second in the National League in strikeouts to Max Scherzer. But in this one, the strikeout pitch has not been there for him. He has punched out just 2. See the Cubs box score. Dexter Fowler has hurt him and scored both runs at the top of the order. Fernandez with 186 strikeouts. Scherzer 187. There you go. On cue. Nice slider and a 1-2-3-4 for the Cubs. Chrysler is the presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. 2-0 Cubs on top in Chicago. And Jason Hammel has thrown 4 shutout innings. Marlins have 3 hits, all singles. Hammel's walked 2, struck out 2. Echeverria, deep fly ball out. And a breaking ball from Hammel for a strike. Emails and tweets tonight. Rich Waltz, Preston Wilson, Jessica Blaylock. Cubs have the best record in baseball. Marlins. Echeverria again to center. And Fowler makes the catch. Marlins still in that number 2 wild card spot. Second place in the East. Now Jose Fernandez against Hammel. Had a double. Marlins could use an extra base hit. Of the 10 hits they've got in this series, just 1 is for extra bases. That was the Dietrich double. And Miami didn't even get to enjoy that. He was thrown out trying to make it a triple. This is for Mike and Mike in Miami Springs. Glad to see Don Mattingly was just as upset at yesterday's performance as I was. Or they were, if it's Mike and Mike. His post-game conference was right on. I know the team took it to heart. Do players get upset when they don't perform well, Preston, or they just develop one-game amnesia and move on?
Well, it's a good question. Players do get upset. I'll finish it after this pitch. Players do get upset, but because it's such a long schedule, you can't allow it to linger. You have to be able to get over it and be able to attack the next game. But you get upset. It bothers you when you don't play well. You just try to not have it carry on the next day into the next game, because then that will, you'll be out there thinking too much and you may not play well that game.
Fernandez fouls it, and it's 2-2. You saw the frustration in Mattingly's face when the Marlins botched that fly ball to shallow left with runners at the corners. But as a manager, you got to move on and not bury yourself, not bury the team at that point.
Yeah, because he's got a whole lot of things he's got to think about. He's got to think about what he's doing with the lineup. He's got to think about if there's a double switch coming. It's so hard for a manager, but you have to just change gears.
Jose, another ground ball to the left side, and Baez across the diamond in time.
Because there's so many things as a manager you have to focus on. Even though it bothers you, you have to be able to save that emotion till after the game and be ready for what's next that your team has to do. Whether you got to make a switch, whether you got to get somebody up in the bullpen, looking 2-3 innings down the line, who may be coming up, how you want to match up your bullpen against those guys, who you may need to pinch hit. That's the hardest thing for managers, to be able to change the page right away and think about what's coming up next.
8 outs on the ground for Hammel now. Real Muto bounced out, struck out. Remember, our buddy Nick from Denver a month ago wanted to know best place in Denver to buy tickets for a Stanton home run, and we said left center field. There's a strike. Well, Nick from Denver writes, I've got tickets left center field, upcoming series. Who are the probable pitchers in that Rockies series? Well, the news we heard today is that David Phelps on Friday will go for the Marlins. Let's see if we can pull up any scheduled. Chad Bettis will go for the Rockies on Friday night. There's a strike to Real Muto. Andrew Cashner for the Marlins on Saturday. The Rockies have yet to name a starter on Saturday. And Adam Conley on Sunday. No starter yet for the Rockies. Trevor Story, though, the fabulous rookie, remember he injured his thumb a few days ago. He actually tore a ligament in the thumb, has got surgery, and is expected to miss the rest of the year. That's a real tough blow for a team that was charging up and is still charging up in the wild card standings.
That's a really big blow, not only to lose that bat, but when you lose your defense up the middle, whether it's your catcher, your second baseman, shortstop, or your center fielder, that's where most of your athleticism is. That's where your better defenders are. So when you lose those guys, it's really tough on you as a team.
Realmuto swings and misses and strikes out. Contreras tags him out, and the Marlins are done in order here in the 5th. In the bottom of the 5th, Jose Fernandez and Jason Hamill. Hamill striking out Realmuto to end that top of the 5th inning.
Yeah, and this is not Realmuto. I want to say that it just happened when he's at bat. But I've seen time and time again the Marlin batters strike out, the ball gets away from the catcher, and the batter doesn't go. This is not just Realmuto. It just happened to be him on this instance. I've seen it with D. Gordon. I've seen it with Ozuna. I've seen it with Stanton, with guys that run well. And even if you don't run well, if you force that other team to make a throw, something can happen.
All right, Chris Coghlan now. And a strike. Cubs got a run in the 1st, a triple by Fowler, single by Contreras. A run in the 3rd on an odd play, which the Marlins somewhat kicked. With runners 1st and 3rd, a shallow pop into left. Christian Yelich came charging in. The runner at 1st, Contreras, ran to 2nd. And Yelich's throw to 1st to get the double play overthrew the bag. Johnson had to go back behind the bag to make the catch. And then the runner at 3rd saw the throw going to 1st. Dexter Fowler broke to the plate. The throw came in. Realmuto's tag was a bang-bang play, but the ball popped out of his glove. I don't know any better way to shortly capsulize that play. So Fowler in that leadoff spot is 2 for 2, and he scored both runs. Coghlan flied to left. Up the middle and into center. Leadoff hit for the former Marlin. 2017 All-Star Game coming to Marlins Park. Sign up now and you can get ticketing updates, breaking news, and game information. Go to marlins.com/ASG.
There's the Marlins crew sitting there, representing with the orange. Got a few Ichiro Countdown t-shirts I see. Nice to see when the Marlins fans travel well. Nice job, JT. Mentioned it last night how much better he's been on shifting his weight, staying low, blocking those balls. That's a great play, keeping Coghlan at first on that pitch.
Baez at the plate. Sean had a question. Realized that with Jose pitching to Coghlan, 2 Marlin rookies of the year. Has that happened before, and how rare is that in general? Well, let's see. Marlin rookies of the year. You wonder if Dontrelle Willis ever faced Hanley Ramirez or Chris Coghlan.
I'm saying odds are that it happened.
Okay.
I'm saying when Dontrelle was in Cincinnati, probably faced Hanley at some point.
He wasn't there long. He was in Arizona. He was in Detroit, too.
Right.
A balk is called. Fernandez looked like he started either with the back leg or the back knee. Remember last week he did balk and it was overruled.
Yeah, I saw it right. You see that little lean back with the body? That's what it would. When you start to lean back, that's starting your motion. That's a balk.
And a good slider there. And a swing and a miss. In fact, in that ball game, it was Thursday. 2 umpires called the balk. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, got together and overruled and took the balk away. After the game, after looking at the tape, Hirschbeck admitted that he made a mistake.
Right away, Reese said it was a balk. That's something, though, as a pitcher, you have to just heighten your awareness of starting your motion, making sure that you see everything you want to see with your signs, and that you're mentally prepared to start that pitch. Because usually what happens is you have in your mind something you want to do, and then you start your motion before you fully have conviction of it, and then you decide, oh, no, that's not what I want to do. That's really what usually happens. It's a changing your mind in the middle of the process. Watch, see that little weight shift right there? That's starting your motion. You can't step off after that. It's a balk.
Big swing there by Baez, and he strikes out. And here comes Hamill with 1 down, and Coghlan at second. Inside look brought to you by Toyota. Oh, this is really, I mean, come on. This is really cutting it thin, right?
We're going inside the inside on this one, man. Jose 5-1 on Twitter Tuesday. Team record is 8-3. He's got the 1.29 ERA.
Where does that show up? In the notes. Hamill hits one hard. Echeverria on to first. That's an exclusive Crack Staff note. Before Fowler gets here, let's just run through some tweets quickly. DMC says, I'm considering a 78 Trans Am of Solar Gold. Any thoughts? Preston?
Only if you have the pork chop sideburns to go with it,
right.
And the old blue Coaches shorts that you wear.
Yeah. Well, Burt Reynolds would look good in that, okay? All right. Rezi has this. Ichiro's next plate appearance will be 14,422 of his combined career. And that is second behind Pete Rose. Fowler swings and misses.
We talked about Dexter Fowler and his impact on the Cubs. When he's playing, the Cubs are 48-22. When he doesn't play, they're 16-19. Big effect on this team.
Fowler takes out. Rafael says the Marlins could use another big bat. How about Yasiel Puig? Yeah.
I mean, everything else aside, just baseball only, where's he going to play? He's an outfielder. The Marlins are stacked in the outfield. Got Stanton, Ozuna, and Yelich.
Right,
and then Ichiro's the 4th outfielder.
And right now he's not very good.
Right.
So.
But I'm just saying, like, just practical reasons only.
That's all right.
You know, if you get him, where is he going to play? It's just not a fit.
Rafael threw it out there.
All right, no problem. We appreciate it, though. We don't mind lending a little logic to the conversation.
I had some A-Rod tweets tonight as well, wanting to know if the Marlins would be interested in A-Rod.
Well, that I don't know. I mean, that's something that the organization would, I'm sure they would look at. But then again, you know, what would be his role and how would you try to use it? Prado is one of the leading hitters in the league as the third baseman. There's no DH in the National League. I don't know if there are bats for A-Rod to be available. I mean, maybe possibly first base as a right-handed hitting option to go with Justin Bour, maybe against some lefties. That could be an option. I think that's more feasible than the Yasiel Puig question.
All right, fair enough. Fowler again into right center. Got a breaking ball. Coghlan scores. And yet another run set up by a Marlins mistake. The balk by Fernandez put Coghlan in scoring position. And Fowler has had a big night. He's 3 for 3. It's 3-0.
You know, this is what teams that are trying to be on the rise learn when you play against teams that statistically are better, is that when you make a mistake, the other team capitalizes on it. They are opportunistic. They're not going to allow you to make errors, let you advance bases without you paying for it. It reminds me of the Braves in the 90s and the early 2000s. They would win games 3-1, 4-1, 1-0 in a series, and they may not have out-hit you. You may have hit more home runs than them in that series, but every mistake that was made, they capitalized on.
Now Contreras with a healthy swing. He's 2 for 2 and has knocked in a run.
And they had Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz.
Two and one. Contreras, young catcher for the Cubs. Cubs are good. They have youth. They have depth. They added a bullpen arm from the Angels, Joe Smith. So even though they didn't come back down to earth, but they scuffled in early July, they've righted the ship. They're 11-6 since the All-Star break. Good slider there.
I spoke to that Cubs staff, and the consensus was, with the number of games that they played in a row before the All-Star break, that they were just really tired. They were wearing down. They weren't as deep because of some of the injuries, so they had to play guys a little more. And I think the All-Star break kind of breathed a little bit of new life back in that team.
A lot of tweets about D. Gordon, why he's not playing. This is Gordon's first day off since he came back. I mean, part of that, there's two parts to that. Part of that is Don Mattingly wanting to blend him back in as well. Remember, he didn't have a chance to play a lot of games. Just 10 days of games before he was activated. So it's not like he had a full spring training of games. Runner goes, pitch is low. And Jose Fernandez gets a little deeper in it here in the fifth. His pitch count at 72.
I don't know about D. Gordon getting the day off, but I know his popsicle game is strong today, Rich. Looks like he was eating one of those Otter Pops. Oh, that takes me back. Popsicle game strong, D. Gordon.
There's a variety of flavors.
Oh, the green ones. The greens were my favorite. Oh.
It's like in Little League when you weren't playing, you go to the snack shack.
That's right. Oh, that takes me back right there, Rich. When I see those, I'm like 9 years old, right, just instantly when I see those.
Didn't the Otters have like different names?
I think they did, yeah. Yeah, they matched the flavor or the color of the popsicle.
Yes, they did. All right, big moment here for Fernandez. Cubs have added another run. It's 3-0. Obviously, Anthony Rizzo would like to stretch that. Rizzo has struck out. And he hit the fly ball to left that turned into a double play, but a run scored. It's 2-0. And Fernandez does not look sharp. Pitch number 26 coming in a start in which he's had a few stressful innings so far. You look at his pitch count right now, and remember last night we were talking about Kyle Hendricks, who really didn't have much stress at all in his start. There's hidden in those 75 pitches have been some stressful moments.
Yes.
Now the bags are loaded. Miami's bullpen is active. Juan Nieves wants to know if Mike Dunn is ready. We got Zobrist up here. From the windup, Jose against Zobrist. Cubs have a chance to really crack it open.
Big hack there by Zobrist.
And a big pitch count this inning of Jose's 79 pitches. 30 have come this inning. .97 with that fastball.
Well, this one he's got to bear down right here. He doesn't want to give up that one more run, keep it at a 3-run game. Got to try to find a way to get Zobrist right here. Did I just say bear down against the Cubs, Rich?
Yes.
But didn't even try to do that.
Yes. George Halas will be smiling someplace. In the air. And out of play. The Bears used to play football in this ballpark, didn't they?
Huh.
I believe so.
I did not know that.
Where's my baseball historian? Jose steps off.
Yeah, I can't imagine one of those big tight ends running full speed down the sideline and catching the ball in his zone and then having to meet that brick wall, Rich. That's got to be rough living.
Zobrist swings and misses. Jose buries a slider and escapes with just the one run. 3-0 Cubs. baseball. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, by Checkers, fast foodies know the deal, and by Warren Henry, now celebrating our 40th year as Miami's best luxury dealer. In Chicago, night has fallen, and the Cubs are up 3-0. The Marlins still looking for their first run of this series. Shut out last night, and being shut out right now. The rooftop seats occupied tonight. Jason Hamill and Jose Fernandez are dueling. And yes, the Bears played here at Wrigley Field before going to Soldier Field in 1970. Back in 1933, they won the first ever NFL East versus West championship game over the New York Giants in front of 26,000. It was 1933. One of the many notable occurrences here at Wrigley Field. Hamill misses. It's 1-0. 1938, Gabby Hartnett had the homer in the Gloman, which was, of course, way before lights. And that was a home run in the dusk to beat the Pirates. That helped the Cubs actually win the pennant. They would clinch it 3 days later against the Cardinals. There were supposed to be lights at Wrigley Field long before they were. But the day following the attack on Pearl Harbor, P.K. Wrigley donated 165 tons of steel that had been intended for lights. He donated to the U.S. war effort. They would get the lights in 1988. Martin Prado skies it. Zobrist makes the catch. Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton now here in the 6th against Hamill.
Well, the Marlins got to put something together. They're starting to run out of outs, and got to get some more traffic on the bases. Got to try to find some way to get somebody across the plate. This scoreless inning streak, it's got to stop.
Yelich, little dribbler up the line. Rizzo to the bag. And Hamill's just getting outs, quiet outs at that.
And quick outs. Quiet and quick. That's those aren't two cues you want when you're talking about your at-bats.
Actually, there was a night game here well before 1988. It was 1954 when the Globetrotters played. They had portable lights here.
Yes, I do remember hearing about that.
14,000 were here to watch the Globetrotters beat George Mikan's U.S. All-Stars. I'll tell you the one piece of trivia, and in looking down the memorable moments here that jumped out at me, Stan Musial picked up his 3,000th career hit, and he was the only guy to do it as a pinch hitter. Stanton whacks that one into right center field, and he's got himself a hit. And that applies, obviously, for Ichiro. Ichiro last night hit a bullet of an out while pinch hitting. You would think he's in line for a pinch hitting at bat here tonight.
Yeah, if you're an off-speed pitcher and you throw a lot of strikes, Ichiro is a tough matchup because he keeps his hands back so well. And when that ball hits the strike zone, he's going to be in a good position to put barrel on you.
And the days of the Cubs filling this place, this is, I don't want to say it's a rather new occurrence, but it wasn't always this way. When Musial got his 3,000th hit, it was 5,692 here.
Yeah, they've had some lean years here. The Sosa years, they had a lot of fans, but when he left, there was a drought as far as attendance. But they got a good ball club now, and it's a great atmosphere again.
Ozuna up the middle, backhanded by Zobrist, flips, and Russell gets the outs. And Jason Hamill keeps the shutout going. Shutting out Miami. Bottom 6 at Wrigley. Marlins have a new digital flex pass. Get you 20 digital tickets for just $199. $10 a game. You pick the games that you want to attend, and the flex pass, perfect way to follow the Fish down the stretch. Go to Marlins.com now. Jose Fernandez, 83 pitches in, but it's been a stressful 83. Jason Hayward on an 0 for 2 night. The action's been at the top of the order for the Cubs. Dexter Fowler's 3 for 3, scored twice, knocked one in, stolen a bag. One of his hits a triple. Wilson Contreras is 2 for 2, and he's walked out of the number 2 spot. And now Hayward has a hit to open up the 6th. Day baseball tomorrow. La Lechonera presents it. Kohler and Lackey. Coverage starts with Marlins Live at 1:30. Addison Russell now. Rick and Pompano. Confused as to why the Marlins are rushing David Phelps into Friday night start at Colorado. Marlins have an off day, and they can use everybody on regular day rest, be it Cashner, Conley, and Jose. So what's up with that? That should be a segment. What's up with that? That was actually a Saturday Night Live skit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up with that? Well, look, it's August, and you've got Adam Conley, who's never approached this type of workload before. The Marlins need him in September. You've got Jose Fernandez. The Marlins are trying to manage his innings. Don Mattingly the other day was asked that question. He said, look, at this point, when you get an off day, rather than move everybody up, you'd rather give everybody that off day.
Right.
Because pitchers at this time of the year are taxed. Phelps would be on turn from his long relief appearance. That hit the sleeve, I think, of Addison Russell. And Jose is in some difficulty again.
Nobody out, men on first and second. Looks like this gets the jersey of Addison Russell.
Yep, got the logo. Anyways, Rick, there's your answer.
Tell you what, there's no action down there in that Marlins bullpen, so Jose's going to have to try to get something done here.
Coghlan has hit it hard twice. A deep fly ball out to left in the second and a solid single in the fifth.
All right, and as soon as I said that, the phone rang in the bullpen. Reed Cornelius went down to answer the call, and looks like Nick Whitgren is on the move.
Ball in the dirt. And it's 1-1. It was Mike Dunn that was up earlier, and he was ready. That was last inning. Now it's Whitgren. Now it's 2-1. What do you see with Jose Fernandez?
Just the location isn't good tonight. You know, usually his command is a big part of it because he has the velocity, but when you add command with that velocity, being able to throw that pitch where you want to, it's tough, but he's kind of spraying the ball all over the place tonight. Doesn't really have the control and command we're used to seeing. And you got to give credit to these Cubs hitters. When he throws the ball that's anywhere in that middle of the plate, they're putting good swings on it.
Well, also, when you don't throw it on the plate, Cubs hitters are really good at taking it. They work the count, best in the National League in on-base percentage. Cubs hitters get hit a lot too, 70 times this year, and no any other team in the National League is even at 60 or above.
Well, they got a lot of guys that stand really close to the dish.
And Coghlan swings and misses. Much needed out for Jose. Now Baez. About the only excitement for the Marlins tonight has been the otter pops in the dugout, which were a big hit apparently. You see that with teams in baseball on the hot summer months. Baez swings and misses.
Yeah, they have like otter pops, flavor ice, all those things.
That one foul back. We had a viewer send in the otter pop flavors. And yeah, they did have goofy names back in the day. Preston was a small lad in South Carolina. His favorite would be Alexander the Grape or Sir Isaac Lime.
That's the one I like, the Lime.
Poncho Punch. Baez swings and misses. Jose Fernandez all of a sudden with a couple of strikeouts. And the Cubs are going to pinch hit for Hamill here. Pinch a penny. Presents Miguel Montero. Well, I know the Cubs bullpen is really good, but the Marlins haven't had any success against two Cubs starters. Hamill and Contreras embrace. Hamill goes 6 shutout innings, and of course the Marlins saw 9 innings of Kyle Hendricks yesterday, just 80 pitches. But look, it's an opportunity to add on here, and that's what Joe Maddon is shooting for. And that's why you go get Aroldis Chapman, so you can extend. There's Hendricks. You can extend that bullpen. Bob tweets it. It's a slow night when you're talking about otter pops. And Bob's right. Marlins haven't scored a run the entire series.
It hasn't been a whole lot that the Marlins have been able to put together offensively. There have been some mental mistakes defensively. They just have to get a little bit crisper, and instead of harping on the negatives all the time, sometimes you have to shift the conversation a little bit. Nobody wants to hear us nag on the team all the time, so sometimes you just switch gears a little bit. But we try to stay mostly baseball always.
Montero fouls it at the plate, counts 1-2. Big swing and a miss. So Jose, if that's the end of his night, he ends with a flourish. He strikes out 3 in a row and leaves 2 on in the 6th. On the go on DirecTV and AT&T. Download the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go. Marlins are in Chicago, and then it's on to Denver. Ichiro, helmet, arm guard, batting gloves. Looks like he's locked and loaded. Marlins will get a taste of the Cubs bullpen for the first time. Derek Dietrich, Chris Johnson, and Danny Echeverria. Pitcher spots due up 4th, so Ichiro's going to need a base runner here to get an at-bat this inning. Pedro Strop is the first out of the bullpen. 2.61 ERA.
He's working on 9 straight scoreless appearances, Rich. I think a little over 8 innings, 8.1 innings. He hasn't given up a run over the last 9 appearances.
Marlins don't want to hear that word, scoreless, because that's what they've been in this series. Dietrich has walked and bounced out. 9 innings from Kyle Hendricks yesterday. 7 hits shutout. And Jason Hamill, 6 innings, 4 hits. Walked 2, struck out 3. I think part of the frustration is the Marlins have got 15 innings without a run. And there's only 8 strikeouts in those 15 innings, so it's not like they've been swinging and missing a lot. So you expect that's it for Jose. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and he did end up with 8 strikeouts. Busted bat, and Dietrich has a hit to right field. The bat will greet him at first. And so that's a start.
So this ball looks like he just gets it off the end. Ball dives down away, stays on it just enough, gets himself a knock. All right, got somebody on with nobody out. That's what the Marlins need. Get some early pressure on the bases. Let's get some going here.
Chris Johnson's bounced out a couple of times, and he swings and misses. It's the first leadoff man for the Marlins in this ball game. The Cubs pen now sets up with Strop, Hector Rondon, and then Aroldis Chapman. That's a pen that needed a night off, and they got it last night. They had an extra inning affair and used seemingly everybody on Sunday. Strop has it, fires to second and throws it into center, and Dietrich's on his way to third. Had he let it go, it probably would have been a double play ball. Had the throw connected, it still would have been a double play ball.
It almost looked like he got caught in between, and he threw it right between both defenders. The shortstop and the second baseman both converge on the bag. I don't think Pedro Strop knew who to throw the ball to, so he threw it in between, but it had so much velocity on it, neither one of the guys could react. Watch this. So he stabs it, and now both of these guys are at the same time. It went right between them. I think it was Zobrist's ball to cover at second base. I think Zobrist had to cover. You see him going there early, but out of the corner of Pedro Strop's eye, he saw Addison Russell, and he ended up just splitting the difference.
That was an early pop-up on the slide, but it worked for Dietrich. Kind of limping.
Yeah, those hurt a little bit, though. That's when you take off those pants and you got that nice little strawberry under there.
Either that or an ankle.
Those don't feel good when that water hits it first in the shower. Oh.
But the Marlins obviously have something going here. An error on Strop. It's the first error of his career.
Hey, the Cubs have capitalized on Marlins' mistakes and errors. Now it's time for the Marlins to return the favor. Nobody out, men on first and third. This is the time you get back in this ball game right here.
Echeverria has flied to center twice. In the dirt, and Contreras knocks it down. Of course, as we noted, Ichiro slotted in the pitcher spot. And a strike from Strop. Strop, one of the many pitchers who has played left field this year. It was in the 15th inning in Cincinnati. I don't think he went, and no, he didn't. Marty Foster with the call. He used every ounce of muscle to keep from going, and that's a good call. So it's 2-1. Etch into left field. That's a base hit. Dietrich scores. Johnson to second. And here comes Ichiro.
Well done. That boy, Etch.
Well, remember, the Cubs chose to take Hamill out of the ball game after 6. Ichiro up, crowd acknowledges him, and Strop misses away with a fastball. It was a rough homestand for Ichiro. His average sits at 321. But a line drive that was snared last night robbed him of a hit. That was Chris Bryant at third base that got his glove on that shot, denying Ichiro 2,999. Johnson at second, Echeverria at first.
Good fastball there, but you can't catch up to it. Strop's got a really good arm.
Got him with a breaking ball. Down goes Ichiro.
He pulled a little bit of Johnny Cueto out on him right here. Does a little hesitation, looks back at second base, turns his back to him a little, oops, and then throws a nasty slider.
So it's Real Muto now after the strikeout of Ichiro. Oh and 1. JT has struck out twice on an 0 for 3 night. And Strop is starting to find his rhythm with off-speed pitches.
They're really good depth on his slider, and it goes more down than across. Tough to read.
Real Muto off of Strop and into right field. Johnson around third, coming home, and he scores. And the Marlins get a break there. That ball had a chance to be a double play. Strop had it kick off of him. Here's a look. Yeah, that might have gotten through. Although Zobrist had a clean break at it. An RBI single for Real Muto. Here's Prado. And so a one-run game here. Prado's 1 for 3. Talked about the scoreless streak that Strop was riding into the ball game. Nine outings, a little over 8 innings. Ball at a strike. All of Miami's hits are singles tonight. Real Muto on that list, the latest, and that has made it 3-2.
Finds it with the slider again.
One, two.
When you're on the road and you got some men on base and you're trying to score some runs, JT Real Muto and Martin Prado are the two guys you want to come up to the plate.
They had great averages on the road. Real Muto especially good on the road against righties for whatever reason. Prado check swing, no swing, says Marty Foster. 2-2. And he got him. And that will be the last man that Strop faces. Joe Madden is on his way out. He's got a lefty in the pen with Yelich due up. So 3-2 Cubs, 2 down, first and second for Yelich. And the Cubs go into the bullpen. West Kendall Toyota called to the pen. To the plate, Miami has broken through with 2 runs. And Travis Wood, fresh off his pitch, play left, come in pitch appearance on Sunday night against Seattle, arrives here for Yelich. Wood very good against lefties, 139. 11 for 79. With 2 homers. That's what lefties have done. But you see Yelich against him is 4 for 7. Etch at second. Realmuto at first. And Wood gets a strike.
Yeah, Yelich is also hitting .303 against lefties, though. So I like this. Sometimes I think a lefty matches up Yelich pretty well, but yeah, that's a tough pitch to get in your first pitch. That's way out of the zone. That puts you in a hole on a pitch that's not even close.
Look how far out Contreras is. That a strike as well. Yelich looking back at the home plate umpire, Mike Malinsky. That's a better pitch than pitch 1, which was clearly out.
Malinsky had a rough night last night at first base. Had 3 calls, reviewed at first base, now behind the plate. Had a questionable strike zone, to say the least, especially on that third base side.
Here's the 0-2. Contreras still out there. And Yelich fouls it back. Yelich 1 for 3. Really good at Wrigley Field. This is his 11th game.
Buczynski hearing the growls from the dugout. Mattingly wasn't too happy with those calls.
Contreras on his way out. Wood is 0-2 on Yelich. And now Malinsky and Yelich in discussion. Wood quickly. And a breaking ball misses away.
You know, at worst, the count should be 2-1 right now for Yelich. And then, unfortunately, it's a 1-2 count. It could possibly be 3-0. But it's what you got to deal with.
That one's out even further, and it's 2-2. Well, the throwing error by Strop opened the door, and Miami has walked through with 2 runs on 3 hits. Yelich, little pop down the line and foul. Coghlan with a head-first slide near the bullpens.
Yeah, Yelich does such a good job of letting the ball get to him against lefty. That's why I like him, and I think the more they stay on that third base side, it plays into Yelich's favor because he's looking to shoot that ball over there. That pitch in is where they can get him, because he's really trying to stay on against the lefty. But if they stay on that third base side, the bat is more in Yelich's favor.
Let's see if the inside pitch sets up something outside. That's where Contreras is. Yelich, liner to left, Coghlan in, dives, and got it. Chris Coghlan saves a run and robs Yelich. Miami has to settle for 2. And it's 3-2 Chicago. Here in Chicago, Geico presents a Marlins moment tonight. Dan Uggla, Cody Ross, back-to-back ninth-inning homers for a walk-off win. Second of the game for Cody back in 2009 to beat the Cubs 3-2. Was that cowbell night? I don't think it was. I think that was back-to-back against Kevin Gregg. We'll get the crack staff on that. I thought I remember cowbells with that Cody walk-off. Dexter Fowler now. As you see Kyle Bearclaw. Wilson Contreras, Anthony Rizzo also coming up. Now Bearclaw is the third reliever to warm up and the first to come in. Mike Dunn warmed up. Marlins never needed him. Nick Whitgren warmed up. Marlins never needed him. So now it's a one-run game, and now it's Bearclaw. Dots the corner and tries to do something that Jose Fernandez could not do, and that's retire Dexter Fowler. tripled and scored in the first, singled, stole the bag and scored in the third, singled and knocked in a run in the fifth. On to first in time. Cowbell night apparently was 2008 against Francisco Cordero. That was a Cody Ross game winner then as well. Hector Rondon in the Cubs bullpen. So Fowler is out. Here comes Contreras. Fernandez, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 earned. Gave up 8 hits. Mets beat the Yankees today 7-1. Jacob deGrom now 7-5. Masahiro Tanaka the loss. Nationals and Diamondbacks 1-1, bottom 2 in Arizona. With that loss last night, Miami kept their 2.5 game lead over the Mets, but are 5 back of the Nationals. Dietrich with Ozuna coming in, and it's Ozuna who makes the catch. So 2 outs here in the 7th.
Ozuna's looking like, man, I had to come a long way for that ball. One of y'all couldn't come out there and camp under that? Like, well, don't give up on it so early. Look how far he had to go to get this ball. I mean, he was right, not that far behind second base.
Here comes Rizzo, the team that is right on Miami's tail in the wild card chase. The Marlins in the number 2 spot. Are the Cardinals, rivals of the Cubs. 5-4, Cardinals lead the Reds in Cincinnati in the top of the 9th. St. Louis is 56-49, just a half game back. Rizzo 0 for 2 with a walk. One up and 1 in.
So he's got to move his leg out of the wheel on that ball. That's how close he is to the plate. Oh, that's a great pitch right there. That Bearclaw pulled out a changeup on it. That's a nice pitch. So that back toe almost on the inside line in the batter's box.
Is that the biggest adjustment you saw with Daniel Murphy at the end of last year?
That is exactly what he did that turned on the power. Daniel Murphy was always a good hitter, but he was like a 270, 280 hitter, and he'd go the other way, maybe hit 290, but he got up on top of the plate, and he started looking middle in, and the teams did not adjust to what he did until the World Series. Everybody kept trying to throw him in.
Count runs full to Parkland's Anthony Rizzo. Ben Zobrist is on deck.
That's a classic example of sometimes you have to put those scouting reports down and look at what a guy is doing today. Because what he was doing 5 months ago may not be the same.
You're talking about Daniel Murphy?
Daniel Murphy, yes. You know, he went on a historic tear in the playoffs simply because every team that he faced pitched him as if he was the same hitter from the first 2 months of the season. And that was not the case. He made a big adjustment, got on top of the dish, but they didn't adjust their thinking or how they pitched him.
Rizzo walks. And here comes Zobrist. Nice pick. And Johnson to the bag. A scoreless inning in the 7th for Kyle Barraclough. Marlins get deeper into that Cubs pen. 3-2 Chicago. And the Cubs bullpen, fortified with Aroldis Chapman, continues to show off now. It's the deposed closer, so to speak, Hector Rondon. And Rondon will get Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna, and Derek Dietrich in the top of the 8th.
When you can afford to move a guy that's got a 1.74 ERA out of his role, that means you got somebody really good.
Fastball to Stanton is down low. Giancarlo has a pair of hits, a line drive single to left, a line drive single to right. And a 96-mile-an-hour fastball there. Rondon has given up 4 homers in 42 appearances. Stanton doesn't chase the slider. Fernando Rodney in Miami's bullpen. And down goes Stanton. Check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, there's been a lot of questions on Twitter tonight about the status of Justin Bour and when he could possibly return. Bour did make a start tonight at first base for the New Orleans Zephyrs. He was able to make it through 6 innings. He had 3 at-bats. He was 0 for 3. He will start again tomorrow for the Zephyrs. After that, they will reevaluate that ankle and see how he is feeling. Don Mattingly said that he hopes Bour returns for the Colorado series, but he did reiterate that they do not want to rush him back. They want to make sure that he is at 100% before he rejoins the team.
All right, thank you, Jessica. You saw Marcell Ozuna questioning Mike Malinsky. And a slider for a strike from Rondon, and it's 0-2.
Well, and that's the rough part when you got an umpire who's struggling with the strike zone. These guys are already good enough on the mound. And when you start giving them pitches off the plate, you're just in a hole constantly against good pitching.
0-2. Well, you can see what makes Rondon so effective out of the bullpen. He's got high velocity and a sharp breaking ball.
Well, it's games like this that just make me want to, you know, argue for the robot umpire strike zone. Just have that electronic strike zone. They can still make the calls on the tags, but the strike zone is something that needs to be consistent.
Ozuna rips it into right field. That's a terrific piece of hitting. 97 miles an hour. You saw the sliders that beat Stanton. You saw the slider to Ozuna, so that's in his mind. And when he gets 97 and heat, watch the quickness of the bat to get there.
He has the quickest hands on the team, I believe. Just a really good approach right now. That's 97 and he barrels it up. That's not a lucky hit. That ball is hit with intent to go that way.
Now Ozuna's coming out and Dee Gordon is coming in to run. So the Marlins are going to pinch run Dee Gordon. So this is going to mean an outfield appearance for this guy, Derek Dietrich.
Yes.
Ichiro's already been used. The Marlins don't have any other outfielders. You probably see Yelich in center, Stanton in right, and Dietrich in left. Counts 0-1. Dietrich looking down to Lenny Harris. He may be looking to see if Dee Gordon is in motion here.
He's got a nice lead at first. And you can't go by the cutout because every stadium, the cutout can be a different measurement. They're not all uniform as far as how far that little notch around the bases is cut out. Every stadium is different. You actually have to go out and measure it yourself as a base runner to figure out what your lead is. You can't just measure the grass. You got to go from your distance from the bag.
This year for Rondon, 4 stolen base attempts, all have been successful. In his career, 25 attempts, 22 have been successful.
Well, that's why you push that button and put Dee Gordon out there in a 1-run game. Good job. You see Dee dive into the back of the bag, make the first baseman have to reach for you.
Out. Dee Gordon gets picked off. Miami will look at the replay.
You could tell he wanted to go. He had that look about him. He was looking a little bit more anxious than he was before. Oh, that's close. I don't know.
We credit Rizzo with a quick tag. That view, you're not going to see exactly when the hand hits the bag on that view. I think this view is probably the cleanest look.
It's worth a look.
Well, last night for the Marlins, anytime there was a review of a play at first, it did not end well. And the key to the play, obviously, is the initial call, which is out. So you need definitive evidence that his hand was on the bag before the tag.
Well, this is just this is tough because as Don Mattingly, the last thing you want is for Dee Gordon to get picked off, because now you've taken Ozuna out of the game and you got a guy who doesn't play much left field or outfield that's going into the outfield. If this pick off ends up being an out, this is the worst of all of the scenarios that could possibly occur from this pinch run appearance for Dee Gordon.
It would be the first runner that Rondon had picked off this year, if in fact he is out. Umpires are looking up at that high definition board in left center field. And that would be a costly mistake. The Marlins, of course, made a defensive mistake earlier in the ballgame that cost them a run. And the review says out.
Yeah, that's a worst case scenario for D. Gordon to get picked off.
And it's call stands, which means there's not enough evidence to overturn, and there's not enough evidence to confirm. So that's where that initial call means so much. And that is a crushing blow. So Dietrich resumes the at-bat. And Rondon fires a fastball up. It's 2-1. Credit Anthony Rizzo with a quick catch and tag. He's very good at that. Dietrich to right, and it falls for a hit. So the Marlins have their second straight hit. Here comes Chris Johnson. All singles tonight for Miami's hits.
Is there a $10 cover charge on singles night, Rich?
No, it's Tuesday night.
Okay.
I think that's Friday night. Dietrich now to big lead. Johnson to left, hit well. Coghlan there and makes the catch. D. Gordon picked off. That's costly in this one. Still 3-2 Cubs. Eight. D. Gordon stays in the ball game. He's at second. Derek Dietrich, as we expected, pushes Christian Yelich over to center. And Derek Dietrich appears in left. And Mike Dunn is on the mound, and Dunn's job is to deliver the game to the ninth. Mike Dunn's numbers. Here's Hayward. Dunn was up earlier in the ball game. Enters here in the bottom of the 8th. Addison Russell, Chris Coghlan also coming up. Breaking ball for a strike. And looming in the Cubs pen is triple digits. Aroldis Chapman. One-two to Hayward. And the count runs full. Three and two. I know we slowed down on the emails and tweets when the game sped up. Busted bats and a catch by Yelich. We'll cover a few more on Marlins Live postgame Twitter Tuesday. Of course, it's driven by Ford. If you want to get to us quickly at Fox Marlins, or email foxmarlins@gmail.com. This was a Jose Fernandez start. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts.
Well, the Marlins started getting some hits and going into beast mode, and we got about that action, boss.
Did you just drop a beast mode? Marshawn Lynch?
That's right, about that action, boss. Got to talk about the game a little bit. We started getting some base runners on, scaring them a little bit. I knew you'd appreciate that, Rich.
That and Skittles. Matt Caesar is on deck for the Cubs. Addison Russell behind in the count 0-2. Cubs up a run. Chapman is ready in their bullpen. And Russell tied up on that fastball by Mike Dunn. So Dunn has the first 2 outs. Here comes Caesar. Now Caesar. Caesar hits in Coghlan's spot, swings and misses there. He had a busy night last night. He was aboard twice with a single, a stolen base, and a walk. A lot of missed opportunity tweets. That's into left for a base hit. That'll get Baez in at bat, a 2-out single.
This is an impressive swing by this guy. He's got this nice short stroke. Hands are low. Just drops the bat head on it. He's had some good swings all series. And it continues tonight. So it's nice when you're Joe Maddon, you can have that weapon on your bench. Somebody that you know is going to give you a good at bat. That's how the Marlins feel about Ichiro right now. They feel like when they need to go to someone to get a good at bat, he's that guy. And I think Matt Caesar is that guy for the Chicago Cubs right now.
Mike Dunn out with Baez coming up. Nick Wittgren will get the call. A West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen.
Lead at 3-2 in the 8th inning. Nick Wittgren taking the mound for the Marlins. He played college baseball at Purdue, which is about an hour and a half outside of Chicago. So he's come to a lot of games at Wrigley Field as a fan, but this is the first time that he's having the opportunity to play here as a professional baseball player. Because of that, he posted this photo of the field on Instagram. I talked to him earlier today. He said coming to games at Wrigley as a fan is definitely cool, but taking the field as a player, that is hard to describe. He's also got family in the stands tonight. And Preston, I'm sure what Nick Wittgren is feeling right now, that's something you can identify with.
Oh, yeah. It's a special thing when you can grow up around an area, spend time in a major league ballpark, and then actually get a chance to put on a uniform and perform in that same venue. And you got your family around. That's a great feeling. I'm really happy for him right now to be able to get this experience.
Well, he needs to boiler up, as they say in West Lafayette here, and get it out. Baez taking a major cut, and the count 0-1. Javi Baez struck out twice and lined out. Jose Fernandez for 6 innings, 3 runs. Kyle Bearclaw, a scoreless inning. Mike Dunn gets a couple outs here in the 8th.
Wittgren has been one of those quiet stars in that Marlins bullpen. He's one of the guys that everywhere he's pitched on the back end of the ballpen. And that tells you that this guy is not easily rattled. He has a great makeup. He has great poise. He's got great stuff, Rich.
That fastball is up. Ninth round 2012. He's been a contributing member of the bullpen this year. He has responded well to high leverage spots. And Baez swings and misses. Boiler up.
Got it, baby, Nick.
Nick Wicker with the strikeout. Now the Marlins are staring straight down the barrel at Aroldis Chapman. Southwest transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, and by your South Florida Honda dealers. In Chicago tonight, Miami is a run shy. Staying with his bullpen, Joe Madden summons triple digits, Aroldis Chapman. And Adeiny Hechavarria gets the first at bat. Now Hechavarria, let's flash this back. Against Chapman in August, or rather, excuse me, July of last year, a fastball that was in at 102 miles an hour. At the time, it was the fastest pitch that resulted in a base hit in baseball history. And Hechavarria stands in here. Bryce Harper, I believe, would have a hit later than that on an 102-mile-an-hour fastball. Nothing easy about facing this guy. 21 of 23 in save opportunities. He did get knocked around by Seattle this weekend, though. You hear the crowd react as you see Caesar in left. He stays in, reacting to the 100 miles an hour up on the scoreboard. Hechavarria, a little dribbler, third base line, bare hand Baez, and the throw. What a play.
Baez may have one of the strongest arms on the infield in Major League Baseball right now. And to go with that arm, he makes a very tough play to the bare hand side. That hand is towards the line, and he throws an absolute dot.
This
to
is
Rizzo.
A great play. Goodness. Jeff Mathis now will climb in against Chapman. Merely 99 miles an hour. Mathis, Real Muto is on deck. The scary thing is when he hits the glove like that. I mean, that target from Contreras didn't move.
Yeah, that's unfair when you can throw 99, 100, 103 with location.
102, and he got a piece. At 103, Chapman strikes out Mathis. It sounded like he got a piece.
What's scary is he's starting to pitch, Rich. He's early in the count, and he's trying to locate better, and you saw 99, 100. And then as soon as he got ahead in the count, you started seeing 101, 102, 103. That's a scary thought that someone with that type of velocity is also adding a pitching element with it, where he's going for control and command early in the count, and then he's going for just pure blow it by you once he gets ahead.
Crowd on their feet. Real Muto now. And Chapman misses away. One ball, one strike. Miami shut out last night. Came up with 2 runs in the 7th. But from that point on, the Cubs bullpen has shut the Marlins down. Travis Wood, Hector Rondon, and now Chapman. And that's a 90-mile-an-hour slider. Wow.
So he can take a little off and pitch at 99 and 100. And he's got a 90-mile-an-hour slider. Wow. And there it is. That's the rare back, and go get you some. 104. Once he gets ahead of you, I'm telling you that this is something that's really special. That he's mentally evolved enough to be able to take some off early in the count to get ahead with strikes and then come with the fury at the end.
Well, Real Muto getting his bat on it on a pair of 104-mile-an-hour fastballs. A little wink there from Real Muto. He's had a couple good swings. You almost at this point fear the slider more than the fastball, because Real Muto's at least been able to get a piece of the last 2 at 104. And that one's out.
I mean, as a hitter, if you throw me that slider, I don't mind, because you might hang that slider. Velocity is velocity. You can make a mistake with the slider, but if you throw 104, it's still 104 no matter where it is.
2-2. Real Muto pulls it, and that's 103, and he pulled it. This is a really good at bat.
It's a great at bat. Yes. To say that he's battling this long, being able to foul off pitches, this is
8th pitch of the at bat, and you can see the speeds. Two. Real Muto, a grounder, backhanded. Baez in time, and the Cubs hold on in the 9th. Great battle by Real Muto, but Chapman and the Cubs too much for Miami tonight. The Cubs make it 2 in a row. 3-2 the final. Marlins Live is coming up.